Carl, you're muted.
Okay, is that
There
good?
you go.
Okay, even though mine says two, okay. I
It's
got
the
it.
opposite of what it says.
I thought I was late, but I guess not. Hi, Helen. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jennifer.
There we go.
Hello, Howard.
Hey, how's it going? I wasn't sure if I could get on here, but
We're just waiting for a couple more folks so we have a quorum. Is Jonathan in the meeting?
Jennifer is from the TV.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jonathan?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, you're not showing up on my screen. Okay, Jonathan, thank you. And neither is Nordia or Jean or Kadzo.
I'm there. I am here.
Oh, okay.
I just joined.
Oh, sorry. And Nordia?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm at the end probably, but I'm here.
Oh, okay. I see you folks on my screen. I'm glad I asked. And Kadzo? Okay, and Natalie?
I'm here.
Okay. Did I hear I'm here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm glad I asked because we have a quorum. We can start a meeting. I'm sorry, I can't see you on my screen, so let's start. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the West Hartford Prevention Council. Welcome. The meeting will come to order. This is Carl Shields, Chair of the West Hartford Prevention Council. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual October 8th meeting of the council because in-person attendance of public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 7B, which permits municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Commission members and some town staff are participating by WebEx, and members of the public can access this meeting by calling 1-408-418-9388 and using access code 132-533-6472. Because of the virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. These are for all the commission proceedings. First, I ask that all participants please mute your devices when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you. If you are participating via audio only or I do not call on you and the debate is ending, please unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, pursuant to Executive Order 7B, All speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. Third, because of the difficulty in tallying voice votes on a video conference, I will require that votes be taken by roll call. Fourth, I would like to describe how the hand-raising process will work. Unfortunately, our conference technology does not allow us to identify individual caller by name. So when the public comment portion of the meeting begins, which is near the very end, the moderator will randomly unmute one call-in line at a time and ask everyone to state their name at a time. The voice that we hear will belong to the person whose line is unmuted. That person will then be recognized by the moderator and asked to restate their name and provide their street address. We will repeat this process until we have unmuted every phone line. It is very important that you state your name each time you are prompted by the moderator. If the moderator unmutes a phone line and does not hear a voice after the prompt, that phone line will be removed from the conference. I will now call the roll. Jean Schenzel. Jean.
Present.
Nordia. Nordia.
Present.
Okay. Jonathan. Brenda.
Present.
Howard.
Present.
Hadzo. Hadzo? No? Okay. Natalie.
Present.
Okay. We just have also some ex officio members also, I'm certain, who I'd very much like to welcome. You're always very, very welcome at the meetings. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the meeting September 10th. Great job as always, Jonathan, but I'd like to see if there's any amendments, revisions, items that we should look at. If not, I'll entertain a motion for acceptance of the minutes of September 10th from someone.
I move that we accept the minutes of September 10th.
Is that Jean Schenzel?
Yes, I will remember to mention my name the next time.
Okay, it'll be an issue, thank you, because I can't really see everybody, so thank you, Jean. And do we have a second on that motion?
Howard Deshevsky, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. And the other persons in, do we have acceptance from Nordia?
Acceptance.
Yay or nay? I'm sorry. Nordia, yay or nay for acceptance?
I said yay.
Oh, I'm
Yay.
sorry. Jonathan?
Yay.
Brenda?
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, thank you all. Next item, old business, needs assessment surveys and reports. Oh my. There's a lot to cover on that. I'm going to try to summarize rather quickly. I participated in, I'd gotten some information from Jean on contact people at UConn on the Prevention and Health Promotion Unit there, and the Center for Prevention, Evaluation, and Statistics, and participated in a fairly extended conference call with them. Got a lot of great information. As a result of that, there were several pieces of information that came out that I wanted to briefly share with folks and sort of where we think we'll be heading. And from all the data that exists there that they can pull. When we talk about needs assessments, it looks as though we may already have many pieces of a needs assessment already, if we can access it. We're going to review the website and meet with the Regional Behavioral Health Action Organization, which is now the combined Regional Action Council and the Regional Mental Health Boards, to see what they have. The director of that is Mark DeFore, who I worked with for many years, and I've already sent her an email about that. And we will include subcommittee work group members on that. We will hopefully form a subcommittee of this group to review the existing data of schools, and what we found out also, and I know I distributed this to folks, the community readiness survey. That was one of the 7 documents that I distributed for folks to look at over the summer. Well, it appears that West Hartford is in a very good place to compare to other Connecticut communities in many ways. So much so that we are doing many prevention activities already, which I'm not really surprised at. And kudos to the town of West Hartford and to Jean Schenzel and her organization also. But it's rather new for DMIS to be funding and moving towards their new indicators on community readiness, want them to move from vaping to mental health and gambling prevention, and also perceived mental health problems. That's going to be new. So I think we're already doing some of that, particularly with the school surveys, which are West Hartford specific. What I had already distributed to folks was really state of Connecticut specific, not really town specific. So we're ahead of the game in that we have town specific already. Third major area, the Yukon group.
Before you move on with that, can I say something?
Sure. I'm sorry. Who is that?
It's Nordia. It's Nordia.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be interesting to maybe have someone present from the school, if possible, the social emotional anti-racism curriculum. There is a curriculum that's being rolled out through all the schools, elementary, middle, and high school. And a lot of it touches on social emotional, and it might be interesting to see if there's some data from there that the town could extract as the program goes on and look at towards the end of the year, or just at least let the board know. It might be a good idea to let us know. You have a presentation. I'm aware of it, but the rest of you aren't, and to see how it may help enhance those questions now that it's an official curriculum that's being rolled out this year.
That sounds really fascinating. I would love to hear about that. And, you know, culture is the lens through which we see our worlds. So, and we know about the existing healthcare disparities in our country. So I think that would be critical information for us to have. The Yukon group will send me or our little subgroup links that'll be specific to what we're looking for in West Hartford. And I gave them what we have already talked about as a group, so we don't have to be global and start all over. They're going to do some of this work for us. And fourth, what came clear is the need for ongoing conversations with different key stakeholder or citizen groups, including this council, about what you want and what we should be looking at. I know from conversations what I've heard that some of the things people are interested in: senior citizens, loneliness, cutting in school, a referral resource, a library for students, suicide awareness and training, alcohol use, prescription drug use. And then I know that Helen, Jackie, and Astrid had another subgroup of things that we talked about in the last couple of days that maybe you want to bring up.
Sure. This is Helen Rubino Turco, Director of Social Services and Leisure Services. And I know Astrid is also on the line. She apologizes. She was having difficulty getting in, but she is on the line listening and can chime in as well. So I discussed the needs assessment survey, the needs assessment work that Carl has been doing with the town manager, because this was a conversation that we had had. Carl, was it about 6 months? Well, it was before COVID hit, so it had to be more than 6 months ago. And he was also interested in really understanding the current needs of the community, and that's what this assessment would do, particularly in the areas of food insecurity, panhandling, which we talked about at our last meeting, and have an update on the digital divide, homelessness in general. Astrid, if you could mute yourself, that'd be great. And opioid use, all the things that we've discussed before. But I think many of, like Carl said, we have access to a lot of the answers on what we're doing and how we're doing in those areas already. For example, in food insecurity, we have a food pantry, so we have a wealth of information about the numbers and the kinds of people that we serve there, as well as in social services, because of all of the applications that we process for SNAP. So we have a lot of information about food insecurity. The digital divide, the school system has a lot of information, thanks to COVID-19, about the digital divide or the lack thereof, based on how many on login purposes, the login usage during the remote learning that took place from March until now. The panhandling is something I'll let Astrid talk a bit about, but we have launched a cooperative working group that involves social services and the police department to go out and gather information from those who are panhandling in West Hartford to find out more about why they're doing it and what resources they need. And so the homelessness obviously is handled on a regional basis. And I know Astrid will tell you that, the panhandling is also a regional issue, but we are handling it from West Hartford, but she's also getting a lot of support from our neighboring communities that want to hear more about it. So I think we have access to a lot of the answers, but it's great that Carl's has chosen or is suggesting that we kind of form a subcommittee of this group to kind of pull in some experts from other places. For example, we just heard from Nordia a request to maybe hear from the school side about the anti-racism curriculum, but we'd also love to hear perhaps from the head of the Board of Ed's guidance department or health department about the programs that they're doing and running, just to help, fill in the blanks. And Carl, maybe you could just talk a little bit about how we can get this done. The idea of maybe partnering with UConn.
Yes.
So maybe I'll just turn it back to you. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I think the thing here is that we have so much information. It's how to stay focused and targeted. And my vision for this, and I'm certainly open to any kind of dialogue or discussion about it, is to not take the rest of our lives doing it, but rather put a time limit on it, have goals and objectives, and markers to meet, and then end it, maybe perhaps in 9 months, based on the information we're going to gather, what we see, what we find, and then what we think we're missing. And then present it to the town council to say, this is what we have, this is what we think, this is what we think maybe you need to do or not. I reviewed also all the mental health indicators Jean sent. They were wonderful for the high school. We should look at the ones for the grammar school. And I think we should pull together a subcommittee for the data. I'm willing and happy to work on that. I got offered an MPH student from UConn who I'd be happy to supervise, who would help with much of this data, which definitely is not my strong point. But I think her supervisor, the professor at UConn, got what I was saying about what West Hartford wants. That student would also, and the professor, meet with West Hartford leadership, and I would assume whoever we think in the West Hartford system would be critical to meet with. Yes, Helen.
A couple of things. I want to make sure that the health district is part of that conversation. Obviously, Master of Public Health, you know, we really look to our health district to help frame a lot of these conversations. And we've already mentioned the senior population. I saw Natalie raising her hand. Of course, the student voice is very important in this as well. But we also have the police department, social services, as well as our elected officials. So I just wanted to make sure that Helen, you know, and her team from the health district participate. And I think I envision that this student will be spending some time in the field talking to all of these entities.
Yes, I would be also, thank you, Helen, for bringing that up, because I think that's essential for Helen to be involved. And also I was thinking that the two students also would be really key players in this, as well as the parent-teacher organizations, you know, because we need to know what they think. You know, they're right there. They're living this also. And it doesn't have to be a huge, you know, 20-question thing about what they think is important for substances and mental health, but we need to hear from them, because that's, I think, what the mission of the council is. And we'll get there. We'll get there. So,
Carl, I can see that Natalie has her hand up.
I can't see any of that. So thank you, Helen.
Yeah, thank you. So I was just going to say basically what you two both said, but also that I would be very interested in participating in that subcommittee, because I think it is super important that we include all groups.
I'm so happy to hear that, Natalie. And you're going to be so much better at this data thing than I am. They were
Carl?
Sorry, but Natalie, I went on the portal and looked and tried to taper down to West Hartford. I was so lost. I'm sure you could go do it with me and know better than I will.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know who was speaking.
It's Nordia. Sorry, Carl.
Oh, hi,
You would
Nordia.
also want to take a note and jot down the equity and diversity parent groups. There's one main group, and then each school has their own group, as well as parents of concern. You may want to outreach to like Rosina and just verify all the parent groups, so that, because PTO doesn't necessarily speak for everyone.
That's
and then
true.
PTC Council can also disseminate information too.
Yeah, I had said that I don't know who the contact people are, so I'm really going to need to rely on this group and for you folks to say this is important. So thank you for that. So it's a big project, but I think it's the right thing, and it's hearing from the key players and looking at what already exists out there. And the end result really is seeing, hopefully, what we're missing. Does that make sense to folks?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
Okay. It's you mentioned appropriately that I thought that this should be time bounded and probably theme bounded. And so the question of what that theme or what the themes would be is still kind of, as I heard, it's still on the table. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I think my main point is that other things that Helen has mentioned and Astrid has mentioned and maybe others have mentioned are part of an ongoing effort to assess what is happening and what is needed in other aspects of the West Hartford current situation, which may not be part of this effort right at the moment, but maybe could be included at least in a shorthand, so that they're part of a larger picture that that fits together as the community mosaic of needs.
Okay, thank you. You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking wellness through the lifespan. You know, mental health and you know, the integration of physical health and mental health, and you know, the SAMHSA initiative of the wellness toolkit. You know, like we did through Mental Health Awareness Month. That's really what we're talking about, from, you know, young kids all through the senior citizens, because that's what this span should be. We shouldn't leave anybody out.
One more comment. Wellness, well-being is not only a concept that's important at the individual level, it's important at the cultural and community level.
Yes.
So the well-being of an individual is in part determined by the well-being of the community or the well-being of the school community.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the reasons that it's really important to look at the other issues, because they give a broader picture of what well-being and the lack of it may be in the larger West Hartford community.
Yes. Just one other thing. I know I distributed parts of the St. Francis needs assessment several months ago, but UConn is also going to get me a copy of the Hartford Hospital Community Needs Assessment that covers West Hartford. So we can look at that also. And there are, like St. Francis, there are only very few indicators covering mental health. Is there someone else who would be interested on the needs assessment work group? Please, you can email me or volunteer now. We're happy to have help. If not, any questions or comments or?
I'm seeing a comment from Nordia. Is this or maybe I've seen some, I don't want to miss any comments written in the comment chat.
Oh, I don't even see that. There's a comment.
Yes, I did put one in there because I didn't want to keep having to stop to talk about it. See if there's something, if Helen had a response.
Oh, I don't see comments.
It's just basically a lot of the stuff you're talking about. The needs assessment is falling in lines with the JD's current recommendations about schools, community partnerships, particularly in response to the FUSN petition, the Family and Service Needs petition no longer being available, the juvenile justice changes. And so I don't know if the town is aware of these new recommendations. They had a meeting a couple weeks ago and they're moving forward with work groups. It could be an opportunity for the town to be a part of something, because they are looking at JRBs and how they're going to collaborate with school districts, given some of the mental health needs they might see and the truancy needs they might see now that the court is available to address those issues. So I was just wondering if social services was aware, and if so, again, it could be an opportunity to get in on the forefront of something new, because they are starting those work groups and they are going to be seeking out JRBs, diverse ones, not just the city JRBs, things like that. And if it falls along with the needs assessment that you might be doing, that could help out as well.
Nordia, do you wanted to send me an email about this and we can talk with Teresa offline? I mean, of the agenda?
Yeah, I just didn't know. I think as a
Okay.
group, if the town felt it was necessary to look into it, I can send you stuff. But everything you were talking about is falling in place with the JJPLC. I don't know. I can send a link to the recent notes and meetings. I think it's posted already, so people can be aware.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We want to talk a little about the need of the committee and the coalition. And the grant,
Sure. This is Helen Rubino Turco. I'm going to ask Astrid to speak a little bit about the building, using this group as the in a broader way to meet the requirements of our grant. Astrid, can you just talk a little bit about what we discussed yesterday about coalition building and community community building, building kind of an independent coalition that, you know, similar to what we've had in the past with the partnership that would be able to implement some of the actions that this council may recommend.
Well, the agenda said that we will be talking about the local prevention council. So I'm going to start a little bit about, especially because I wanted to welcome Brooks. I'm seeing Jana, and for Natalie, for the people that are starting new, I wanted to share what is that and what is the understanding that I have about this particular commission from the town. Especially, and other people that have been there for many, many years, they can correct me if I'm wrong. The West Hartford Substance Abuse Commission was the initial name of it. Recently was called West Hartford Prevention Council. It's a commission under the town clerk and have their own governing rules, etc. But also, as well as a commission, it is the local prevention council from the state of Connecticut, DMAS. So that is, we are one of 150 towns that have the local prevention council. That's why we also have been able to use a grant that they provide every year. You have heard about many times about that grant. It's not that much money, but it's something that they do to support the efforts of the community. So in other words, we're trying to have this marriage. That's why when we talk about vacancies and people that should be in this commission voting, etc., we talk about Republicans, Independents, or Democrats, and then we also said, okay, mental health providers. So we're trying to unify the two requirements. So right now we are evolving as Carl. We have been asking for an assessment, a community assessment for quite long time. So I think right now the council will have this opportunity to kind of collect the data and figure it out. It will, like Carol was saying, it's a marathonic task. The local prevention council this year, and this is what Jackie's going to speak about, we did apply for the grant again. Okay. I can report about the last year grant. She can report about the requirements of this year. So right now we have basically two tasks: to do the community assessment, and in order for us to use that money, we need to perform the actions attached to that. The state have determined that this year, the vaping, prevention on vaping, it's what they wanted to work about. And this is what they are telling us that we can use the money. Okay. Just for Natalie and Jana and Brooks, some of this money have been used for different things at different times. For example, from the money from last year, we were able to finally bought the banner for the Take Back Day, that it's happening in October. We always support the newsletter from the bridge because it impacts the community with a large information about prevention. We also have been supporting the Safe Grad. Many speakers, the history, it's on and on and on. Jackie's going to explain to you what are the changes this year. They have the funding in the state have been going to vaping prevention. So I'm going to allow Jackie to speak about what is that, in addition to the assessment, what are our role. And in reality, what we need is a coalition that put together the actions. Every year, actions might change, so we need to carry on and do it differently. So Jackie, go ahead.
Hi everyone. This is Jacqueline Zia Edgar, Town of West Hartford social worker and staff liaison for the West Hartford Prevention Council. I'm going to begin by sharing just a little information, background information on the LPC grant. The Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, in collaboration with the regional behavioral health action organizations, annually fund over 150 community-based local prevention councils, of which West Hartford has one in place. That's us. The amount for this particular grant for the town of West Hartford is $7,141.55. This grant has an overarching state goal. The activities associated should be focused on reducing vaping use rates by 5% among 12 to 18-year-olds by the year 2025. That's the overarching state goal. They've kind of reduced it to two goals, or kind of, to be more specific. One, to reduce vaping use rates among 12 to 18-year-olds, targeting related risk and protective factors. And then goal two, secondary, is to increase public awareness of substance abuse prevention, okay? All the funded initiatives and activities that are associated with the LPC grant have to work and must utilize a strategic prevention framework model. And this model consists of one of them being the needs assessment, capacity building, planning, implementing of evidence-based strategies, monitoring and evaluation, and sustainability and cultural sensitivity in the community of West Hartford. All funded activities and initiatives through this grant have to focus on the reduction of vaping use among 12 to 18-year-olds. That is a must. Does anybody have any questions or any ideas? Before you jump in, I wanted to also kind of state that after writing and being involved in the writing of this grant, I kind of see how the development of a coalition, a separate coalition to focus on the actions that can carry out the grant, and abide by the goals of the grant is really needed. Maybe that coalition can be developed, just like Helen said, out of our council, but something has to be done in order to actually come up with the actions around the activities that can focus on these activities that will be allowed by this grant, focusing on vaping use reduction. And that completes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So I guess the point is to solicit people for these sorts of activities and the format for doing so. And I think it needs to be other than through this meeting, though it might be helpful to put something, a little brief flyer or request together for that council members in this group could then bring back to their organizations that emphasize the essential need for coalition members. I don't know, something, what do you think of that, Astrid or Jackie, Helen?
This is Astrid, Manager of Social Services. What I know is that Amplify have offered, not only now, but offered to help us with coalitions. In fact, the state of Connecticut have the coalition worker coming to us many, many times. She was there. You guys met her. She was with us in the past. And they are willing to help any council or any group to form coalitions. independent coalitions that respond to this type of RAS group or organizations, etc. So Marcia Dufour might be willing to assist us with that. And I know that you already contact her. So that will be a way to go. If anybody have any other ideas about that, we can, they can speak for now. Yes. See Natalie.
Hi, this is Natalie. I'm Conard student representative. I just wanted to say quickly, at Conard we have a club called the Heron Project Club, which is about substance abuse and suicide prevention, mental health prevention. And if you are all interested, I could ask some of the, it's quite a big club. There's probably about 40 students in the club. So I could ask if any of them would be interested in joining that coalition to talk about the student part and what they think would be helpful. So if interested, you can just email me more information. I can pass that on to them.
That sounds great, huh? Good. Thank you, Natalie.
I just wanted to mention a little bit where we are with the Local Prevention Council grant. We're still tweaking that activity to make sure that we can fulfill and use this grant. Initially we send the application with a couple of actions. They have a list of very strict actions that we can perform. It's quite challenging. It's some of the things it's not even easy to do in a year. And then some of them are with a coalition and additional assistance from other groups. So we are tweaking it, and we're going to send by email some of the ideas and the requirements for you guys to decide if this is what you guys wanted to, so we can move forward. Okay, we're going to be doing that in the next week.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. Okay.
Carl, this is Helen.
Okay.
I can just knock off one on your new business, the vacancies in the West Hartford Prevention Council. We talked too long about this the last time, but there will be 2 vacancies in December, and we have 2 candidates that would not only fulfill the DEMIS, the Amplify coalition part, but also fulfill our obligation to the town council to have representation from both political parties, or all 3 political parties, as well as bringing a new voices and interest to this. So I'm pleased that we've been able to. We've received 2 applications. One is a person that Ari forwarded to us and has made an application. She is currently a counselor at the Institute of Living, and the second is a business owner. Bob Macca has expressed interest in joining this group, and so he would also kind of fill a chair of a resident with interest. And actually, he employs a special needs person in his business, so he's also putting his efforts to his interest to good use to support this. So I'm looking forward to forwarding those names to the town council in December for adoption.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Helen, for your work in this. That's great news. Okay, and I think, have we covered the LPC grant? Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Panhandling?
Hi, this is Jackie. I just wanted to say that it's 5:44 p.m. And I just wanted to call attention to that. And yes, we discussed the LPC grant. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Panhandling?
This is Astrid Calderon, Manager of Social Services. I just wanted to mention the efforts to work with the community and the police department, as well as other outreach groups regarding the people who panhandle in West Hartford. there have been a lot for many months, a lot of complaints, concerns, comments, ideas, some actions, etc. about the topic. The town decided to get back together with teams, multidisciplinary teams, to see what we can do together. This is not unique for Connecticut or for West Hartford. And so we started a project called West Hartford Cares Hope Project. I can forward more information. We need an army of people. This is not an initiative or the town. This is whoever wanted to participate and help. But the first initial step is that we need to know who are in the streets to see if they really are homeless, if they're really substance abusers, or people with mental illness. So we're at that stage gathering information about who they are. We have contacted the local social services divisions of all of the towns. The response is very valuable to all of us. There are towns like Enfield, Manchester, Glastonbury dealing with the same issues. So they're willing to work with us and join forces about what are the best practices, best ideas, and to see how can we help or help them or facilitate in better solutions. And we are talking with the Journey Home to see if they can facilitate more of the shelters that are across the region for the ones that are homeless.
I'm sorry, Astrid, does West Hartford participate in the point in time count for the homeless? Do you know?
I do not know, not from my office. It's that a program from a state agency? Or?
Yeah, Journey Home participates twice a year with Capital Region, and they go around and count the number of homeless people in the community. In Hartford, I believe in West Hartford also, Avon, in catchment area, CAC 18 and 23.
So that's the data that's why we are working with them. We don't participate doing that project. What we're going to do is that these people might be the same people. So they have already the information about who they are.
Okay.
Some of these people are part of the region, and that's why we need them to see where we are, because some of them might have workers already trying to help them, etc.
The person who may know that is Crane Cesario. If you ask the Journey Home person, she's very involved in that.
Carl, this is Helen. The West Hartford does participate in the continuum of care. We are in the balance of state continuum of care, and I know that the balance of state continuum of care does work with Journey Home and those other frontline workers to participate in that point in time counts.
Okay.
But I don't know, because it's handled at a regional level, we're not sure how to parse out, the exact numbers in West Hartford. So that's part of what the goal of what the working group that social services and the police department are doing with the panhandlers. Thank you.
That data exists, I guess is my point.
Yeah. That it's true.
Okay.
So that's all we're gonna, there's a lot more to do, a lot of more work. If people wanted to have more information, they can send me an email and or support ideas, additional literature, whatever you think that it's important for me to share, and we go from there.
Thank you, Astrid. West Hartford Bloomfield Health Department. Helen, are you there?
This is Helen speaking for Helen. I believe that she does not have a microphone, so she will not be speaking. I apologize.
Okay. I guess we'll skip that today then. West Hartford Public Schools Board of Ed report. Do we have
I know
anyone?
the Board of Ed is planning to continue the hybrid teaching at least through the election.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Torcus from Conard. Natalie has shared a lot about different initiatives that are student-led that are going on in the schools. Just listening to different groups express like what they would hope for our group here to kind of talk about and focus on. One suggestion that I have that I think might have been mentioned already is that we consider having Rosina Haskins join us. She's Director of Equity and Advancement and can speak with great detail about the SEL and social justice initiatives that are going on in the school this year, if that's of interest to people.
Very much so.
Sorry, you broke up. Can you repeat that?
Yes, very much so. To have Rosanna Haskins join us.
I could
Jane,
ask, but I think Jocelyn would be better. Another person who's more involved with the planning piece of it. But I can ask Rosina.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You're absolutely right. Jocelyn is very much involved with this, and maybe even more hands-on in the school setting. I'm certain that she would join us as well. I see her daily. I can even ask her if that's something she'd be interested in doing.
And it's Nordy again. Sorry, I forgot to say my name last time. And also, I am on the middle school committee, and there's actually going to be a presentation at the end of October that I could pass around the flyer, and you can spread it around to who you feel would be interested, and maybe this group could listen a little bit because it might touch on some of the curriculum. It's going to present some tips for parents on how to manage this new normal, self-care for parents, and then cover some of the curriculum pieces. And then from there, if people want to hear more about the curriculum in depth, the group will coordinate another meeting for the district for everyone to hear it. So that's coming up.
Okay. Thank you, Tor. Thank you, Nordia. Report on the Youth Service Bureau.
All right, thanks. Hi, this is Chris Dutton. I'm the Clinical Director of Community and School Services at the Bridge, and I oversee the YSB. So we've got things starting to click along, particularly relevant to sort of the mission of this group. We have a Smart Recovery group that happens on Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30 for West Hartford High School students. That takes place at the Bridges office at 100 Shield Street. We also have a hybrid sort of virtual capacity to do that group, but it also does meet in person. So it's kind of a dual thing. We haven't had a virtual participant yet. Everybody's been meeting in person. So I don't know exactly how it works, but we have the capacity to do it. Our teen center programming has been sort of on hold for a couple of weeks, but we are back up and running as of tomorrow. We're operating right now at the Beachland Park. And alongside the teen center programming, we are also beginning a social skills group alongside of a basketball clinic. So the basketball clinic will sort of be the vehicle to get kids involved, and we'll have opening and closing exercises focusing on social skills and sort of appropriate social interaction. dealing with the challenges of sort of being a teenager. Our teen leadership group, led by John Merritt, is going to be hosting a family-friendly movie night at the end of the month. That more details to come on that. I don't want to speak too much because not everything is set in stone as yet, but I think John will be sharing information out to this group later. Hopefully midweek next week we'll have some things finally finished nailing down. Let's see. Then the other thing is, our school-based mentoring and counseling and groups that we do are beginning to pick up a little bit. Our referrals are starting to tick up. But those of you who are involved in the school system, feel free to continue to send referrals our way for mentoring and counseling and in groups. That's a pretty powerful prevention instrument, to have that trusted adult that they can talk to that's sort of outside their normal authority figures. And so, we're happy to be able to lend support in that way. I think that pretty much sums up the kind of current YSB initiatives. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Well, I can't believe it. We got through our agenda. Upcoming events or activities of interest? Okay. Then we'll move on to public comment. And I'll turn that over to Andrea, our moderator. Andrea, I would ask you though, if I can't see people, if you could maybe find out from WebEx if there's a way I could.
There are no call-ins. Everybody is accounted for, so.
Okay.
Okay.
But could you find out from WebEx if there's something I could do on my iPad so I can see everybody?
If you click on the participant list, you can see a list of all the participants. There's also a way to make it so that instead of one big tile with little ones on the bottom where you have to scroll through them, you can see you can do multiple tiles, but everybody will be small.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Do you see it? Should be up in the right-hand corner. There's an option to switch views.
Oh, now I got it. Okay.
Okay, and then there's a participant list that you can also have on the right.
All right. I think I figured it out. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
It wasn't that hard, really. I just didn't want to lose everybody and push the wrong.
Yes, I know what you're saying. You hit the wrong button in the middle of the meet and then boom.
Bye. See ya. Okay. All right. I guess adjournment at 5:58. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 12th, 2020 at 5 to 6.
Just 1 second. Helen Duran wanted me to mention Take Back Day, October 20. What was the date? She said in the chat, October 24th, they're having a take back for the medication from 10 a.m. to 2 at the West Hartford Police Department.
Okay, thank you. And I do believe Cadso joined the meeting also.
Yes, I'm here. I had trouble joining. So
okay.
I'm a bit late.
Okay, thank you. I thought I heard you, but okay, thank you. Hi.
The West Hartford Prevention Take Back Day will be on Brixton Road in West Hartford, not at the police department. Just to clarify.
Okay. Thank you, Astrid. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
This is Howard Deshevsky. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Howard. Do I have a second?
This is Brenda McHugh, and I second the motion.
Thank you, Brenda. How does Jean Shentel vote? Hello, Jean.
I vote in favor of ending the meeting.
Okay, Nordia,
Yay.
Jonathan,
Yay.
Kadzo,
Yeah.
and Natalie.
Yay.
Thank you all. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Some of the discussion in political circles about a potential contested election. Later, we'll be visited by Mayor Sherry Cantor, who's the mayor of West Hartford. She's going to give us a quick update as to what is happening in town with respect to COVID-19 and a charity effort that she, along with mayors of other communities, are spearheading. So Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. Hi, Ronnie. Nice to see you as always.
See you too, somewhere other than on the sidewalk in front of your house.
Yeah, that's where we usually meet, is on the public sidewalk.
That's right.
So that's definitely a question I have for you. And what the heck? We'll start. I'll start. How long does it take you to prepare and then physically build one of your displays?
Well, that really depends on how elaborate the display is. This year, I consider the display actually pretty simple. It's just 8 4-foot by 8-foot panels that need to be cardboarded and then painted, and then each one is decorated. That's pretty simple compared to something like a 50-foot long, 23-foot high with masts pirate ship. That one was a little bit insane. So, this one probably took me about 40 hours, which I don't really think is that bad. And I did it with my daughter and some of her friends. And it's like, it's like hanging out in the driveway and listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers and, carving Corona molecules out of styrofoam.
That's there's definitely, and we're going to talk a lot about this year's display. We're going to show people it, but just for those watching who aren't familiar, Matt every year builds a really incredible and powerful Halloween. I'm using the word display. Is that an appropriate word, Matt?
I've had people use display. I've had the word exhibit. I've had a friend of mine who's a mural artist said to me a few years ago, he's like, "Oh, you're an installation artist." I said, "What?"
I like that.
Okay.
That has more gravitas.
Yeah.
To me, display or decorations just sounds so light for what you do, because you really do try to send. My sense is you try to send a good message with what you do, and
I try to have gravitas.
Yeah, and well, you do, and I wish I had a better vocabulary, because we would cover it. So let's go to the constitutional stuff first, because it's on a lot of people's minds. A lot has developed. We booked you about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, before we found out that Trump had COVID, and then obviously he was diagnosed with COVID. He spent 3 or 4 days at Walter Reed. He went through the treatment. But we all know COVID is a nasty disease, which when you think you got to beat, maybe you don't. Talk to us just in general about how does the 25th Amendment work? If he does have to hand over power to Pence, how does it work?
Well, I mean, first he would have to hand over that power. And technically speaking, the last time that was done was when George W. Bush had a colonoscopy and was put under. So he was literally not awake, and so and under the influence of medication, obviously. So he handed over power to Vice President Dick Cheney. There's plenty of medical experts who have been testifying over the last week that in all likelihood, given the seriousness of some of the medication that Trump was put on, especially some of the steroids and the psychological impact that they can have, that he should have gone ahead, at least while he was in the hospital, and turned that power over. But that requires a president who will cede that power for a period of time, and then when he is ready to reclaim the power of the presidency, a physician would have to approve that.
So I've had some arguments over the last 7 or 8